Hey there, internet friends. This is Danielle Pierce, creator of Real Estate Profit Lab and your property preservation expert, coming to you with the second topic in our series for this month, which is cracking 100K in 2021. So today I'm going to be recapping 5 tips that you can utilize to launch your business and receive work right now. So I'll get started with number one. First step is to set up your entire business foundation, which probably seems a little bit basic, but I want to start there because many people kind of skip steps throughout this process. So I want to be clear about what I mean when I say set up your business foundation. So it means registering with the Secretary of State, getting your tax ID number, your Dun and Bradstreet number, even though that's being phased out, but still get it for now. Creating your website, creating your business phone number, your business address, and all the foundational steps where people can, where your business will be brought into reality, so to speak, right? So that's what I mean by creating your business foundation. So that's step number one. Step number two is going to be to obtain general liability, professional liability, and workers' compensation insurance if it's required in your state. So the first two are non-negotiable. And people ask all the time, well, they'll say things like, hey, I talked to my insurance agent. My insurance agent said that they don't know why I need errors and omissions insurance because of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what your insurance agent thinks, or really what anybody else thinks, because in order to get the property preservation contracts with the companies that we recommend, and with any company, it's required that you have those two, general liability and professional liability, which is also called errors and omissions, or E&O. So it doesn't matter what your insurance agent thinks. Just ask them to do what you need them to do, which is run you some quotes for those two types of policies. And then workers' comp varies by state. Some states have exemptions for companies with no employees. Other states require it no matter what. I think New York is an example of a state that requires workers' comp no matter what. And then also the other deciding factor about workers' comp is the company that you get your contract with. So there's maybe three companies that require workers' comp regardless of the state exemption. So I always tell our students, you don't really, if you're in a state that has an exemption, I'd focus on getting a contract with the company that doesn't require workers' comp right away. It's because it'll save you some money up front. And again, it's not, if your state doesn't require it, then I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. All right, so that's step number two, is to get the required insurance. Step number three is you're going to select at least 3 counties for your coverage area for the state in which you live. Now, people ask all the time, like, hey, I'm moving from Texas to California. I got family in Tennessee. I got this, I got that going on. You should pick the areas where you can cover. For most people, that's the area in which they live. If you're someone who is a brand new business owner, you have no experience with running businesses, or if you're not super detailed and organized, then I would not advise you to try to, get a contract in the state other than the state in which you reside, because it's going to be challenging for you because you don't have that foundation to pull that off. Right now, if you're someone who is a seasoned business owner, you cool with talking to contractors remotely, you're fine with managing things virtually, then by all means go for it. But I would select at least 3 counties in the coverage area, for my coverage area, again, for the state in which you live, for about 99% of people that ask. Number four is you're going to apply with all the national companies until you receive the volume of work that you desire. People complicate things. They'll say, well, if I get a contract here and they start sending me work, what should I do if this other company starts sending me work? Well, do both of it, right? Like, keep everything going until you get to a point where you're comfortable. If this first company is not sending you enough work, or they don't have the volume in your particular coverage area, then you keep going until you find a company that does. And then as things start to shake out, you can let go of one of the other contracts, right? So nothing's written in stone. Nothing is, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like, it shouldn't be a situation where you're ever paralyzed with fear. It's just simply a question of, if you get too much work coming in, you just simply tell one company, hey, can you put me on hold? No penalty for you for that, right? You're not going to like get fired or anything. Or you could say, hey, remove me from the database effective. Usually I would say give them at least 2 weeks notice. Like, you don't ever want to just stop doing work and not say anything, because it's a pretty small industry, just like everything else. But that'd be my recommendation for that. So that's step number four. Apply with all the companies until you get the volume of work that you desire, and then scale back, once you need to. Step number five is going to be to then reach out to all the companies that you've applied to and ask, hey, where do you need people at? Now, most companies will tell you Some companies will say that they can't. And really, I found that it comes down to the coordinator, the person you're talking to on the phone. How good of a relationship do you have with them? Have you built up a rapport? Are they feeling good that day? Are they having a bad day? Because the vendor coordinators control a lot. They're the gateway to you receiving work for the most part, right? So ask them, where do you need people at? And many times they'll tell you, and then decide if you can cover those areas or not. If you can cover those areas, that generally means that you're going to have a lot of work coming your way right off the bat. If you can't cover those areas because it's either in another state or it's in a rural area or you just don't feel confident, then please don't take it on unless you're sure that you can do that. Because I've had people take on coverage with a few companies, and it turned out to be in very middle of nowhere type places, in Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas, and they struggled. So I don't recommend you do anything that's going to set you up for failure. So just make sure that you can cover those areas, once you ask the question, because there's always places where vendors are in a shortage, where vendors are needed. And so you want to make sure that if possible, if you can cover it, that you start there. All right. So those are the top 5 tips to launch your business and receive work right now. Again, our campaign this month is cracking 100K in preservation in 2021, which is my goal for everybody who comes to the program, bare minimum. And as always, if you're not a part of our existing student base, you should be. Encourage you to go ahead and click the link down below to register, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Until next time, bye-bye.